I'll call the meeting to order. We have Cindy and Jeanette online. Rick's here, Andrea's here, Glenn is here, and myself. So I want to welcome everybody to our meeting. We have some visitors here as well. Welcome Jeff, Lisa, Daryl, Chris. Thanks for attention. Can I have an acceptance of the agenda? A motion for the agenda? Sure. Rick, seconder. Glenn? Any additions, deletions, adjustments? Hearing none. All in favor? Jeanette?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Great, accepted. Any declarations of conflicts? Hearing none, we'll move on. Approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes before we start discussion from the last special board meeting of August the 13th? Rick, thank you. Seconder. Glenn, thank you. Any discussion on the minutes? Additions, deletions, amendments? Hearing none. All in favor of accepting the minutes of last meeting? Jeanette?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Okay, approved. Report of the chair. Thanks for everyone for attending. We've had a pretty busy couple of weeks. In the last couple of weeks since we last met, we have now taken possession of our igloos. Thank you to Angela and team for navigating that bit of the windstorm and transport and logistics. But Angela, any quick updates on they're stored away in the containers?
They are. The plan is that after the meeting, we have some students coming with us and we're going down to the storage containers. We're taking all the lights that were on the banner enhancers, removing the light strings, salvaging any that we can and offering to the members. And also the ones that we can't, we're saving the bulbs again to offer to the members. And while we're there, we're going to open up one of the storage containers, or sorry, the big boxes that arrived. I brought a pry bar so that we can get in and at least take a look and see what's all in it. Yeah, what we're up against. Sort of know from the video that they sent, but we actually want to see what's in the boxes.
And we have two of them, right?
No, we have four, and they're, as it is stands right now with those crates that they're in, they're over 1,000 pounds each to move. So there's no way that we're going to be able to move them easily. We'll definitely have to take them out of those boxes, even though the boxes are very thin plywood.
It's okay. Thank you. And you've got your hard hat and safety boots ready to go on.
Yeah.
Thanks, Angela.
Taylor's job to pry bar first.
Yeah. Two other things I'll mention just in terms of my opening address. We've got a good communication ready to go, thanks to Cindy Taylor and the comms team to put together on Welcoming Streets. That's going out today, actually, Taylor, right? And Roger, our student intern, who completed the survey, and we have the survey results. We're just sorting through it, producing a report that we'll send out. He left us as of last week, I think, right? Friday
was his last day because he took a position at Ontario Tech.
Yeah, and we thanked him for his work and contribution. We'll miss him because he did a great job, but we were in good hands with Peyton and Taylor in terms of helping out, so thanks to him. Angela, am I missing anything in terms of what we did last week, last couple of weeks?
The bank stuff.
Yeah, we've cleaned that up.
Hopefully by the end of this week I'll hear.
Yeah, so all that conversion of names and removals and signing authorities and everything, we completed that. Any correspondence, Angela, that came through?
No.
None? Great. Other than that, that's my quick update between for the last 2 weeks and now. Do I need a motion for that verbal update?
No, the motion goes after.
Okay.
Oh, well, actually, I guess we have been doing a motion for your report.
Okay, anybody want to motion that update? Glenn, thank you. Seconder.
Go ahead, Andrea. Be dangerous.
Oh, yes.
Thanks, Andrea. All in favor? Go ahead. Thanks. Jeanette?
Yes.
I'm gonna take that.
Yes. Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard me.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeanette.
But we're not hearing Cindy.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Okay, thanks. Next item, BIA Office Manager update.
Okay, so we finished and completed and sent off our third FOI for the year. The third one came in during our last board meeting. So that's already been sent off. This is, next week is Peyton's last week as a summer student. We did receive a grant for, it's a spin-off of Bright and Mary, but it was for the lighting feature that we want to do in Memorial Park. That was supposed to be for this year, and they have actually allowed us to move it to next year. And that was a $10,000 grant. I just actually last night got an email from a student who's looking for a field placement from Durham College. So I'm looking into more information about that program. They need 120 hours, and they've given me the contact information for their supervisor. So I'm gonna look at that because we could always use additional assistance in the office.
What's their skill focus?
They're, I want to be sort of a jack of all trades. They're doing the leisure program, and they found our information on the Durham volunteer site. She's interested in doing marketing, organizing events, and seeing how to organize them from the ground up and things like that. So it'd be a lot of valuable experience for her.
Great.
So we're looking at that.
Many hands make for light work.
Exactly. So we're working on a few areas for promoting the downtown using various platforms. I'm sure Taylor wants to smack me because I keep coming in and saying, here's the ideas for today. And we sort of either put them on the wall or write them up. A lot of it actually is focused on what Taylor does, like filming and social media and stuff. But with a limited budget, this is a way that we can promote some of the events. And one of the ones that we've already done was a TikTok video. I didn't do anything but that, sorry. Taylor and Roger did a TikTok video, and I believe you're altering it to also put it on Instagram.
Yeah.
So we're using it for multifaceted
Yeah.
purposes.
Different platforms reach different audiences, different target markets.
Any initial results?
The TikTok one got a number of likes, which is good because it's a fairly new platform, and it's also the type of video that we did isn't what's considered popular per se on TikTok. It's a bunch of dances, and then there's like a smaller food and niche market on there, so it did pretty well considering that, and considering it was our first video in a relatively small town. So
Congratulations. Good job.
Okay, and then the last thing I have is Digital Main Street. I heard from Teresa this week. They've hired their teams. They're starting to reach out. I just need to get them our membership contact information. I have already forwarded a few people that I do know. So like Wilson's Furniture, Parmac. A couple of months ago, they let me know that they were definitely had put in their application. So they have their contact information.
Good.
So we're starting to get that ball rolling as well. And we'll be doing weekly check-ins with Teresa to find out how things are going.
So the chamber, the Ontario, the Toronto, the downtown Toronto chamber has reached out to all the chambers across the GTA, of which Oshawa was invited to participate. They're running the same program. So they're getting paid a fund that they're splitting up amongst the chamber members to offer Digital Main Street. Same platform, same everything, same sort of approach. So I said I'm both. It's not a conflict, but I gave them the same heads up, saying that through the BDC, the BACD, we're approaching the members in the downtown. So I said, let's not look like we're cross-threading each other. Let's just make sure we're coordinated. So, so I'm giving you the heads up as well. So they're going to be out asking the same thing of their members. So be sensitive to the fact that some people might get asked twice. So it's nice to know that. It's nice to know that and then say, we know that, but we're just double checking.
Yeah, and with our calls, we had a number of points, and one of them was about Digital Main Street. To make sure that people were aware of it. And I know when I made the calls, I asked that they call or let us know if they are applying so that we can then definitely send their information to BACD and say, have you applied? Have you checked in with this group?
Yeah, our knock on BACD before previously was, didn't necessarily focus on our membership. And
Exactly.
wasn't successful.
Yeah.
It wasn't clear on timing or what
Yeah.
benefit or value, the value chain. So let's make sure we talk to Teresa. Is it, or not?
Yeah,
Uh,
Yeah.
Just to make sure that, on the interest of our membership, that, hey, you're pushing it the right way and keeping people informed that they have
Yep.
to act in a timely way or sign documents.
yeah. Well, and that's why we're planning on doing like weekly communications with them.
Yeah.
To make
Great.
sure that there's that focus.
Thank you. Anything else?
Nope, that was it.
Great, thank you. Do I need a motion for this as well?
Yep.
Can I get a motion to accept the office manager's update? Glenn,
Oh.
Rick, you're the second. Thank you. All in favor? Thanks. Jeanette?
Yes.
Cindy, you're on mute.
Yes. No, sorry. I wasn't sure if you were waiting for me or not. I was waiting for my name to be called, but yes.
And I just let everyone know that I just let Michael in.
Okay,
So
great.
it's just
Welcome,
now
Michael.
Cindy.
We just started. We're on item number 8 of the agenda.
Good morning. Sorry I'm late. Thank you.
That's okay. Thanks for joining. Item number 8, board administrative issues, open discussion. Anybody have anything to put on the agenda for that? Rick, you gonna-
Well, I was wondering about new business.
Okay, you're gonna put under new business, good.
Hearing none, move to 9.
Okay. Just maybe I'll put something on the table around our communication strategy, trying to move the levers on getting engaged with the membership. I know that Taylor, Peyton, Angela have done a pretty good job getting feet on the street to get out to the members, even amidst COVID. What's the general feedback coming back from your face-to-face with people?
I don't know.
Ranting and raving? Or?
It's some, but not as much as you would think.
No.
Right? But I think we mainly see most of our interactions are probably with the restaurants, right?
Yeah. Is that pretty much what's seeing a lot of the traction right now, I guess, being open? I mean, I walk around at lunchtime, it seems to be coming back in terms
Yeah,
of the restaurateurs.
some of the retail as well. Yeah, so some of the retail as well. So
Yeah.
There's been a few, because of the videos that we're trying to do, we've and trying to engage them as well. We've
Yeah.
been going in there as well. And it depends on the market. Some are very niche markets. So, they've had their customers waiting to come back.
Okay.
Yeah, some places are, really just happy to be open.
Yeah.
A lot of them that I spoke to said that their businesses was doing pretty well since they've opened. Like I talked to the Taekwondo studio and they were doing fantastic. They had set up a whole bunch of, COVID protocols. Thank you. And we're at capacity. So, there's places that are doing really well.
And
I
for
know the
some,
Y's opened up and so's Lava, because I'm members to both of
I
those.
just
so-
saw Lava was
So
open yesterday.
they're slowly
Slowly,
moving,
yeah.
moving through that hoop. So it's good to see them opening up.
A lot of the professional services, like the lawyers, were already open.
Yeah.
So that, and when I was talking with them, that really hasn't changed. It was by appointment only before. They've instituted COVID protocols if they have to do face-to-face, but a lot are still doing by appointment and Zoom calls and things like
Is the
that.
courthouse open now?
I'm not sure. Michael might know better than I would.
Michael?
Yeah, courts are actually adapting. There's a lot of court appearances by Zoom, which
Right.
for better or for worse.
Okay.
But yeah, courts are back open. Small claims isn't quite up and running yet, but yeah, getting everything going here.
I know we'll get the update on Welcoming Streets when Cindy does her update, as well as the walkthrough that we did with the mayor and the Durham Regional Police around security. I know that's our number 1 issue coming through with all the feedback on the surveys. So some work going on there for sure. Anything else you're seeing downtown? Andrea?
No, not really.
Glenn?
Well, in the city report, I have a few things.
Okay, great. Jeanette, anything you're hearing, seeing from the downtown area?
Nothing much. We were driving there. I was driving there yesterday, and I was just telling my husband that it looks so nice when the flower pots are lush. That's pretty much my observation is.
Yeah, good observation. I agree with you. I think they really, I was a little worried at the beginning of the year, but it was a little late getting started, but boy, when they came in, it looks great.
Yeah.
Good-
Yeah.
Good point. Thanks for that. Anything else, Jeanette?
Nope, that's it.
Cindy?
Not too much to add, just still some issues around graffiti, needles, and loitering. But I mean, I know that it's an ongoing issue and they're doing things to address it. So other than that, I haven't noticed any other changes.
Yeah, on the needles one, I was a bit floored. You were at the meeting with me at the mayor's walkthrough there. 600,000 needles, spent needles were collected. That was the number, right, Cindy?
Yeah, it was something astronomical. Like it was more than 10 times any other region had reported. So we were like off the charts.
Yeah, and I double checked that, and that was the number. So
Over what time period?
in the last,
Years.
I guess, start of the program, the On Point program that we're behind with John, we're behind them with the John Howard Society doing it. So I don't know if that's a good thing in a sense that we're really cleaning it up, or
Oh, it's a
certainly the
terrible
volume side of it just had me shocked. I think Whitby was the next closest at 15,000. So I think the point that was being made in that walkthrough is, yeah, there's a crisis we gotta really focus in on. So I think the message in general is yes, we have a problem. People are listening, and things are starting to get focused on doing more about it now that the numbers are hiking in. And I think our communication is going to start focusing in on some of the findings that we've got. Just education and numbers and facts are important to put in front of people's minds and perspectives. We're hearing it from our members; they see it.
Mhm.
So we're not, it's validating everything we're hearing, but now we can at least put it in front of people that can put some effort to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Michael, anything to add?
Nothing from my end on that. Nope.
Great. Okay, committee reports. We get a motion at the very end of the update, so let's start with economic beautification update. Glenn and Jeanette?
I wasn't at the last meeting. I wasn't able to come. I was just wondering if Jeanette.
Yeah, so basically we have, hold on, let me just, we have planned for next year's budget. We've budgeted, we won't be having any greeneries this year, unfortunately, because we don't have a budget for that, but we have set aside some funds to put up and take down the winter wreaths. So we're still going to have the wreaths still. And no Christmas lights. We've taken those down. As Angela was saying, what we're going to do with those Christmas lights, we're going to just give them to members if anybody's interested in that. And we have we will be having our Christmas lights for next year. The what do you call this? The park will be having a lot of Christmas lights next year. So that's our main project. We're also we've also initiated the coverings for the empty stores. So Angela's working on that one. But yes, we have also prepared a budget for that. There was also a discussion with regards to making and printing Glenn's project, the Let's Eat, Let's Shop brochures. So we're working on that as well.
Great. Anything else?
I think that's it, unless I'm forgetting something. Am I forgetting anything, Angela?
Oh, yeah, there was a mural.
Yes. Yes,
So do you want me to take that one?
yes, take that one.
So we're also looking at doing a graduation mural. I've spoken with a property owner behind the Tribute Center in the past. I'm going to reach out to him again, but he said that we could use his building, and we want to do something that will encompass for all three institutions. And I'm actually just about to submit a grant for that through Central Counties. I called them and they said, yes, we could. That would be a good project that they would probably provide us funds with. So I'm trying to offset some of the costs with that. But Yeah, so we are looking at doing that.
When are we looking to do that this year?
I'm hoping to maybe do that this year. The grant is for, the project is between October 1st and March 31st. Looking at weather and timelines for painting, it's, probably October, November would be the best time for being able to do that.
Are we commissioning some sort of
Yes.
artist?
We would commission an artist. We've had some ideas on what we think of
Great.
like what it could look like to be able to be inclusive to everyone, and be a good backdrop. We think that not only students, but we could even arm twist maybe professors to encourage their students to go with them and take the photos, especially for their master's and graduate students or PhD students.
Great.
Are you gonna get requests for proposals from different artists to do that, or do you have a particular artist in mind?
I have one particular artist that I've asked for a quote for the purposes of this grant. I will contact, I'll contact that individual and ask if he knows of any others, but I will also contact someone else from Durham College who teaches up there and see if that individual can give me some other artists' names.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions for Jeanette? Great. Thanks for the update, Jeanette. Good job. Governance, Michael.
Yeah, so we've got our first board survey back, so thanks everyone for completing that. The consensus of the board seems to be we need to be better on time with our meetings and budget out time for those and start ending on time where possible. So other than that, there's no real issues raised. Member of the governance committee reviews those and tallies the results so that I am removed from my own personal biases on that. So that's the result there. So needs to start focusing on that. The other piece for the governance is we met and we reviewed accessibility policy for the BIA. So that was a capstone student project, and we reviewed their work yesterday. Just a few minor changes, but everything looks good. We received the city's accessibility policy, I guess, together with a few other documents, and we're kind of, that was earlier this year in February or January, I suppose. And we're told, you guys need to get these in place and get something together. So you can use the one we gave you, you can suit it to your own needs. So Angela circulated that yesterday, so I don't expect that anyone would have had a chance to take a look at it, but we are looking for the board to accept that accessibility policy and post it on our website and kind of use it as our document for now and for going forward. Accessibility is something that's mandated under a couple of different pieces of legislation. So the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act and the accompanying regulations that go along with that. Just some basic things in there that I think maybe we hadn't put our minds to before and we need to be mindful of. So that's something that I encourage everyone to read, especially if you're running or leading a committee. We need to make sure that all our events are complying with being accessible, and as well as job postings and everything else like that. So any questions for me on the accessibility policy, what it entails, anything like that?
Do you foresee anything that we've been running so far as having an issue with that policy? Do you have to do anything special? I know we've got rants and things like that we're able to do, but
sorry, just a little bit faint there. Is it we?
Sorry, Michael. I was just asking in general, and maybe the question is really to Angela. Do you foresee any of the things, given what we've worked on in the policy, that we're going to run into trouble with our future events, that we've got to do anything different?
No, we pretty much make accommodations already.
Right.
We just didn't have anything formal.
Okay.
And this just formalizes things more.
Great.
Yeah, and I think some better messaging, or including in our messaging the option that we can accommodate people and things like that. So, but yeah, I don't think there's been any issues or complaints received thus far. It's just better to get ahead of the curve on that kind of stuff.
And does this extend to anything that we sponsor?
Sorry, does this for something?
This compliance piece that we have that governs us extend to anything we sponsor?
Just missing the last part. Sorry, expends anything we sponsor?
Yeah, does it extend into whatever we sponsor? So in other words, we've just got to be mindful of when we put some money or effort behind a particular program or function, they've got to meet our compliance aspect of that policy.
Yeah, that's a good question. So part of the accessibility policy is that when we're procuring goods, services, putting our name behind something, that we would want to make some efforts to make sure that whatever it is we're doing is complying or has accessibility standards in place to accommodate where possible. You know, there's always a where possible and where reasonable clause. You don't have to bend the heavens and earth to meet this, but you've got to be mindful of it. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Michael. Any other questions for Michael? Hearing none. Sorry, Michael, is that the update for everything?
That's the update for everything. I don't know if we should get a specific motion on just accepting the accessibility standards separate to the committee report, because it's a specific thing that I'm asking the board to adopt.
I'll defer to your expertise on it, Michael. We could do it. It's a no harm, no foul approach, but for policies, I think we should. I think that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, so if I could get a motion from somebody on that.
Sure. Rick's motioning. Do I get a second? Thanks, Andrea. All in favor? Jeanette?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Approved. Carried. Thank you. Any other updates, Michael?
That's it. Thank you.
Great. Marketing communications. Cindy, do you mind covering for Matt on this one?
Yeah, no problem. The first two items I wanted to speak to were the social media COVID activities and the website update, but I wasn't sure if Taylor was comfortable covering that off. She might have more details about it than I do.
Yeah, I can take that, I guess. Social media, as Angela mentioned before, we've got a number of ideas for videos and things that we've started to execute. That's mostly surrounding awareness about the downtown, just trying to drive people to the different businesses and different things and reasons to come downtown. It's all free. We haven't put any money behind any of the promotions in the last, or since our budget got reduced. The website, phase 2 is on hold until January, but it is all laid out and ready to go. We are looking at ways to make the website more accessible as well. We discussed yesterday, and I still have to do quite a bit more research, but how we can do different things like closed captioning for videos, as well as text readers on our website, those kinds of things. And that is the main points, I guess. There's the member section of the website where we've got all of the agendas and meeting minutes going up. That's happening very fluidly, quickly now because we have back-end access. So as soon as Angela gets me the documents, I can put them on the website. And yeah.
On the new emerging side of the media channels that we're using, are we, it's always that reach and richness factor that we're trying to measure.
Mm-hmm.
Reach is easy. It's the number of hits, likes, those kinds of things. Have we standardized or collected a bunch of KPIs or some measures that we go, hey, look, it's reaching a bunch and that the numbers are increasing?
I'm working on a
You're
report.
working on it?
Yeah.
Great. And then on the richness side, it's like for the web, it's always like downloadable, the length of time you stay on the site, those kinds of things.
Yeah, so I do have monthly analytics, Google Analytics reports sent to me from our website, so we can analyze which pages people spend the most time on, where they're coming from. So our blogs actually do quite well, especially when we post them on Facebook. We've got a lot of direct clicks. So when it goes on social media, they go to our website and spend a fair amount of time searching through that blog, and then trickles down to others.
Yeah.
And all of those blogs feature different, businesses and different things to do downtown.
Because that's our big communications piece. Is like, look, we're not running events. We're not doing things that are kind of visible in your face other than face-to-face visits.
Yeah.
The only other way we do it is by linkages and hits and connections that we do
Yeah.
with whatever's left in terms of time and effort that we have and resources.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's kind of going to be our story as we get to the year end, is to kind of go, well, look, we've taken it from here to here.
Yeah.
We didn't get our 90,000 people down here because we didn't run anything,
But
we
we've
did get.
reached. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like the last article that we put out, it was about how you can support the Oshawa Generals while their season is down. So part of that was talking about the bid for the Memorial Cup, buying online, rewatching games, purchasing season tickets, that kind of thing. So we're trying to connect it to bigger things within the community as well, instead of just being a generic article about visiting a few different restaurants. We're trying to connect it to a bigger picture and draw in the readership from that as well.
I mean, it's just logical. You're going to start getting the restaurants first, and the focus is there, and it's that's what's bringing some people downtown, and the ones that are more visible, outdoor social distancing, comply with those things.
Mhm.
And as these other things begin to open up, we'll pivot over to those things, I'm sure. But yeah, I think we're going to feel it from the members going, hey, you just seem to be more focused on restaurants. Well,
Yeah.
that's what happens to be open right now. And there are some retail spots. I'm sure we'll get to that. It's a fair criticism, but it's also the logic that of how things are starting to open up. So I think we're good with that.
Yeah, and of course, always open to ideas. If anybody has any article ideas from the community, from the board, happy to hear them, happy to write about them.
Rick, go ahead.
So Taylor, you mentioned that phase 2 of the website was coming in January.
Yes.
Are there any, or is there any possibility of modifications or additions or different processes that can be incorporated into the website? This was designed by somebody in Welland, I think, was it? Is that the company that did that?
Yes.
So are we locked into that format, or are there ways that we can amend and add to it, maybe improve as the rollout continues on?
We can definitely do that, especially because we haven't started phase 2 yet, so we can make amendments with the plan. Once things are out, we just have to talk to our web developer, and he's been very flexible with changes. He gave us back-end access just recently, about a month ago, to the members page, which we didn't have before. So things like that can be amended and changed as time goes on.
Okay, so we're locked into phase 2 and the payment for that, and that's all going to proceed.
That was all part of the original RFP process, that it was multi-year and with his final amount, right?
Okay, but we do have ability to do some amendments and such.
Yeah, it's a,
Yeah.
I want to say we're moving document, but
Yeah.
it is. It's ever evolving.
Well, it
So
should be, I
even
guess.
like Taylor and I yesterday were back and forth about in the members page right now under agendas and committees, it's looking horrible, and trying to figure out how to make it look nicer and yet maintain ease and be organized so that, people aren't scrolling down to try to find
Forever.
the agenda that
Yeah.
they're looking for, right?
Yeah.
So it's always evolving, right?
Okay.
And if we can do those changes ourselves, it helps, which now Taylor can do those, where before we couldn't.
So when the executive director was here, I was having discussions with her about the concept I've had for about 3 or 4 years now, the idea of having a downtown Oshawa art scene Facebook page and having that link to the calendar so that we could have a one-stop shopping site for anybody to see what's going on entertainment, arts, and culture-wise downtown. And that never seemed to be able to come forward. And then Amanda had mentioned that she thought it was going to come forward. And I just see this as a completely critical piece to make people
it may
aware.
be phase 2 or phase 3.
Well, there's 2 points to that. So we attempted to connect all of our social medias to have like one kind of like moving revolving page on our website, and it did not work. It looked terrible. It was not fluid. It just did not bode well for the site at all. But we do have a calendar that people can submit events on, as well as we can put them on. So it's a really easy, quick form. You just put the event name, time, a bit of a description, and then your contact person, and then it'll go through to me and I can approve it. If there's issues with it, I can contact whoever submitted it. Likewise, we can also put events on there manually. So
Sounds like a committee contribution. I mean, it sounds like, are you part of the committee? I forget.
Not formally,
Okay.
maybe ad hoc, but
Yeah, no, I mean, we've talked about this several times around trying to get more coordination between all the things that are happening downtown in a one-stop format. So yeah, I think the team's working on that, and certainly all ideas are good. So
yeah.
So visually, how does that look? Like, is there kind of like a page and there's day by day thing?
It's on there now, and I've seen it. It's just, it's not as one stop as we would like it to be. It comes across to you in point by point. You have to kind of look for it, but I think you have good ideas there.
That's the calendar. So this month is a little scarce. But next month we've got all of our committee meetings, the board meeting in there. There's also a few community events going up now. So Global Therapeutic and Massage is having their grand opening, so we put that on there. As well as somebody reached out to us about an ear seeding event. It's not meant to be a promotional spot for sales. It's strictly for community events.
So the city has something like that. So this is kind of a duplication. I guess what I'd like to see is a page where people do see what's going on a ticketing and sales basis, because that's what the nature of business is downtown. So for instance, what's going on at the Tribute Center, what's going on at the Atria or whatever, and Cork and Bean. And so people can actually see those kind of events and we'll bring them downtown.
Yeah, but that would be considered an event, and those events can be added. They can either add them, as Taylor said, or they can let us know about the events and then we can add them.
It's a good committee discussion. 'Cause
Yes.
I think I can see the points all the way around. I think we're in design mode, so I think it's got to come back to committee and
Yeah.
let it go.
The only
Sorry,
thing,
go ahead, Jill.
the biggest thing is that for ticketed events and stuff like that, people will not want us to be selling tickets on our website. We'll have to be pushing them to the ticket website.
Oh, sure, and the
So-
contact information can be there,
Yeah,
but
and you can put things like the website. So when you click on Global Therapeutics, so they've got the website link to
Yeah.
actually go to her site, find out more details.
Yeah, I think there's more to come.
I guess my ultimate point is if people know that they can go to this calendar page and with a secondary click, like they can find the date, and with a secondary click, they know all the events on that date can come up and they can get the details. That's what I want to see. It'd be nice if they were all on there on the first click when they get to it, but if it takes a subsequent one, so be it. But just so that they know that somebody from Pickering, even if they want to see what's going on downtown Oshawa on the 23rd of September, and they've heard of it, click, bang, and there's all the events.
Yeah,
and they can
absolutely.
plan an evening.
It's a great design. I think you're working on it.
All right,
That's good.
work in
Part of that.
progress.
Is Taylor, anything
So
else
you're
on the
saying-
update? Sorry, go ahead.
You're saying we do have that, or you're planning to do?
Well, we do have that. So right now we don't have any days where there's multiple events, but once there are, if I wanted to put another event on, say, the 15th, it would show there and it would populate.
But should that be on us? So you got the one with the BIA meetings and all that stuff. Is it gonna all be on one, or that's a separate one?
So this is the initial view. When you go to just the calendar page in general, it'll populate everything, but then you can sort by the categories on this side. So if you just want community events, you click community events and it'll filter all of them out.
Okay.
Yeah.
got it.
So could you have one for art, culture, and entertainment
Absolutely.
events, for instance? I mean, that's my point. And then all the downtown venues that know about this can then send that out to all their members and say, this is where you can go to not only see our events, but all the other venues as well. That's the idea. It's
Yeah.
like having a calendar in the old days in a Toronto newspaper, 7 day a week, where you'd have, what's going on in the city, and they'd have pages of stuff. I know things have changed, it's a lot more electronic, but now there's an electronic version for that.
You're excited about it. You should be part of the committee.
Well, I'd be
get-
happy to, but
That's an invitation, Rick.
yeah.
But it looks like we already have that.
Yeah. Again, we're in design mode. I mean, I'm trying to be cognizant of our feedback around the board people
Yeah.
that said, let's stay on time. So
Yeah,
it's great. This is part of designing, and I think phase 2 is coming up, so we've got some time to
Yeah.
do that.
So is
And-
this part of phase 2, or this is on now?
This is on now.
Oh. Phase 2 is making adjustments. to it.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Taylor, anything else you want to?
Nope, that is all for me.
Cindy, is there anything else you want to update us on marketing?
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to try to fly through this. So just as far as our communications planning goes, for the internal stuff, I think we may have finally sorted out the automated response for the board email account. Thank you, everybody, I guess, for your patience in going back and forth with confirming that you did receive the emails. We're currently working on an ED performance review package, so that'll be a 360 process. We're going to have a protocol. We're also developing a formal process for vacation requests, so we have a paper trail for that. For staff, our staff and volunteer exit survey is live, and I think we are in the process of conducting them because we've had a few people move on. The board evaluations have been done, and seems to be like we've gotten some good feedback from that. Governance training is still in queue, so hopefully we'll be receiving that in the fall. We have actually uploaded, I think it's Asana that we're using to remind us of the quarterly or emails that we're sending out to staff and volunteers to check in to make sure that everything's going well for them. So that's kind of our internal stuff going on. Externally, we're arranging our open town halls. So the first one has been scheduled for September, and the first one is dealing with the unsheltered population downtown. So it's going to be an online town hall where people are invited to log in. We have, I guess, a panel, a representative from the Welcoming Streets Initiative, the Backdoor Mission, and a person with lived experience coming in. They're each going to be given 5 minutes to briefly describe their role, what they do, and then we're going to be taking questions only via chat, just to keep kind of crowd control going on. So the panel will be addressing those questions, and Matt has graciously volunteered to be the moderator for that. After that, we have 2 other sessions in queue. One is safety and security downtown. So we hope to have a guest from the Durham Region Police. Not sure where Canadian Protection will be at that point because we haven't set up a formal date. But we were thinking of inviting even the On Point Services or somebody else who's doing safety and security downtown. Depending on how the format rolls, we'll just keep with the same format. And then the third town hall scheduled is to address BIA issues and concerns. And the mayor has graciously offered his time to come in for that one as well. So BIA membership can ask him questions directly as well. Any questions on the town halls? Okay, and
Not a question, but just a comment. There'll be Zoom meetings with limited capacity because we can only do a maximum of 100 people at a time. So we're asking people that they pre-register.
And I-
believe that posted in the e-bulletin today or tomorrow.
Yeah, and I don't think we're anticipating a capacity of more than 100, so we should be in good shape for that. As far as our marketing campaigns go, we did try something new with the Grandview Get Active Challenge. Uptake, I would say, is lukewarm, so I would encourage everybody on the board, if they haven't registered, we only have until the end of the month, to please register. I think there's another reminder going out to the membership today, and anything that you can contribute would help. $2, $5, whatever. We're just trying to start to generate a sense of community amongst the membership, and this was kind of our first litmus test to see how it's going. So it's going okay, but we can see areas that we're going to improve on, and hopefully we'll have more things coming soon to generate that sense of community. Angela, did you want to? Oh no, sorry. We already kind of talked about the Digital Main Street update. Is there anything further on that?
No.
No. And then we did have our budget, which I believe was similar to last year, and the majority of that money is going to the mixed media campaign. And I think we talked about that in detail last board meeting, so I wasn't sure if there were any specifics anybody wanted to know more information on regarding the budget, or no?
Nope, I think it looked good. I mean, it's made it through finance and audit. We're waiting on the last pieces for draft budget, first round. So just on that point alone, and we'll talk about it, finance and audit. I mean, we're probably going to take a couple of kicks at this to make sure we got it right, and then we've got to get it out to the membership to review. So we're going to get comments and feedback, which is part of the process now. But what's the date we're trying to hit council? Is it October?
October the 19th comes to mind, but I think that may be for the committee that we need to get it to.
Is that finance and audit where we go to, Rick?
Yeah.
We go finance and audit, then it goes to council.
And then it goes to council the following week. So we're working on a really tight timeline. If we're doing the AGM, well, we have to do the AGM before. It would either have to be October 1st, which is only 1 week after the board meeting,
Right.
or which we could announce, and then we could tell them that the budget would be up on the 24th in the afternoon. We can mail it out as well as put it on our.
Sure, we can get that updated, finance and audit.
Yeah.
Just thanks, Cindy, for getting that going on the promotion section of our budget. So your committee's good to go with that budget the way it is?
Yeah, I believe so.
Good. Sorry, go ahead, Cindy. Anything else?
Nope, that's it for that committee.
Any other questions from anybody on Cindy's points? We had a question in the audience. What's the format, Angela? Help me with that.
For we don't.
Chris had a question, so I
just
don't.
want to inquire what operating system you're running your
Oh,
website on.
okay. Well, that's a simple one.
Right.
Do we know?
So is it WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, is it HTML period, like you have,
I honestly don't know. It's
don't
not
know.
something.
so you have back-end access?
I do have backend access. It doesn't look like the WordPresses that I've used before. I think it may be a customized HTML site that he's built.
We can
We
answer that
can
offline.
inquire,
So
yeah.
thanks for that. Okay, great. Hearing no other questions, Cindy, do you want to go on to community development?
That sounds good. Okay, so for the Community Development Committee, we've welcomed one new member on board. So we have a nice complement and the member has a varied background. So we have somebody with lived experience, we have community members, we have businesses, and of course our board members. So we have a rich pool to draw from for ideas and brainstorming. Welcoming Streets update, they had almost 2,000 brief encounters in July, and that was handing out supplies. And then they had 123 significant encounters. So that refers to people they've connected to, services, and various referrals. As Ivano had mentioned, he and I went on a tour with the mayor and the Durham Region Police Board of Directors. So we went through the backdoor mission and saw all the services that they're providing, and then we walked over to Memorial Park. And again, I think the numbers are astounding. Obviously, Oshawa is carrying a large burden of the unsheltered population, and we're struggling to maintain supports and provide services for everybody to make sure everybody is taken care of. The mayor was very adamant, saying that we needed more support, we needed more help. He reached out to, the Durham Police and anybody else. He's working with the region to try to get more supports and services, and they're looking at reconfiguring some of the programs and living arrangements for people. So they are definitely doing things. The mayor also drew attention to the fact that I think there's 6 different programs that have been in place. And as you guys are aware, WSI, DRPS Canadian Protection Services, and the On Point program are all part of that. And he really wants to emphasize we're taking a multi-pronged approach to address it. Ivano, did you have anything further to speak to the tour?
No, I think the tour went well with the representatives from mostly focused on DRPS and the region to see how big the problem is. And again, that's part of our strategy. We were talking about that, Cindy, in terms of follow up with the DRPS around getting the facts. How big is this thing? Is it bigger than a bread box, smaller than a Ferrari? We know it's important. It's just hard to figure out whether it's a growing problem, a stable problem, or a shrinking problem. I think it's not shrinking, but I think some of the elements of feedback is it's big, but it's stable. Some other elements that we're hearing is, we're seeing people being shipped over here because we seem to be the center point of support. So really around trying to collect that data is the next step in what we're trying to do. And DRPS is going to be helpful to giving us some of that. But that's all I gathered from it.
Yeah, and I think the other piece was Welcoming Streets is we're engaged in a much more collaborative process, and they're asking us kind of what information the businesses would like to know from their perspective, so we can do a more enhanced information exchange. So we gave them the feedback similar to what Ivano just spoke to. Like the business community is hearing that people are being dumped here, they're given bus tickets and they're showing up. So WSI is interacting with people, trying to find out why they came downtown Oshawa, what the draw is, how they, kind of to see if those rumors are true, how people are winding up in our kind of circle of care here. We've also asked Welcoming Streets for kind of enhanced metrics. So it's interesting that we keep getting this quantitative data of how many packages of items they've given out, but we are more interested in hearing about how many people have moved through the system or how many people they've connected to services that have actually followed through to hooking them up to ODSP or housing. So we want to know what the follow through is, as opposed to just kind of giving people meals and keeping them in the downtown core. So we've asked for more information on that end. So I think that's it for Welcoming Streets in downtown. One other item came up. I guess there's a GAP committee that's working with various members of the community, again, to address the issue downtown. And we, as the BIA, have requested to become part of that, and we were asking how to become part of that. And I think, Rick, you might actually already be sitting on that committee. Is that true?
Well, I formed the committee with Daniel Cullen, and I'm the co-chair. So yeah.
Excellent. So we were wondering how you could communicate that information back to the board, if you could be a conduit for us, or how we somehow find out what's going on with the GAP committee, or if we can somehow support the GAP committee or get involved in that way. If we can look to you as that.
Sure. I can, besides myself, if there's a separate BIA member who would like to come to a meeting just to see what it's like and maybe participate on an ongoing basis, that could be fine. If that's deemed to be me, because I'm on both, and that's fine too. I just think it'd be good to have another set of eyes attend a GAP committee meeting. So I'll connect with Daniel Cullen, and we'll reach out and we'll make that offer. And if you like, I can do a regular update at a BIA meeting, just a quick 30-second update on what the GAP's doing.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Just again to like foster communication so that we can share with our members and everybody's kind of kept in the loop, because that's one of the issues I understand is there's a lot of fragmentation downtown and people are doing various things, but there's not a lot of communication going on. So if the BIA can facilitate that and be part of it, I think we should really try our hardest to
Well,
get
just
in.
so you know, the GAP committee has 4 notice boards throughout the, if I can call it the southern downtown, not right downtown. And on those notice boards, there's almost a daily, but certainly a weekly COVID update. And it's all to do with food supply, clothing supply, cooling centers, anything to do with health and safety and support are posted on those updates. So what I can do, just so you know, is I can link you into with Doreen Hugh McKenna, and she can send you a COVID update report, just so you can see the kind of communication that the GAP committee is doing, because everybody who is homeless or perilously housed knows about this and they know where they can get information. So that aspect of it is certainly clear to them, but I'll certainly bring you into the loop.
Oh, that's great. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So that's the GAP committee. And the last thing I think I wanted to speak to was the ramp accessibility downtown, the RAD project. And Angela, if you want to maybe update everybody on that, you have more details.
Sure. So as everyone's aware, we received 2 grants. In the last 2 weeks, Peyton found a ramp online that we ordered and received, and we've tested it. It works really well for up to 4 inches. So I think that accounts for something like 10 of the businesses. This week we found that there's also some other, called them the door. They're sort of like ones where they have just a very small incline or like a very small step,
It's
maybe
like an
an inch.
elevated doormat.
Yeah, an elevated doormat. That would work for some other locations. And we have started trying to find local companies that can look at and possibly provide ramps for places that have a bigger incline. So Peyton looked at the Ontario Building Code, but we're unclear right now if that is for permanent ramps, because some of the other temporary ramps that we've seen, you need, 6 inches for 1 foot. The Ontario Building Code says 12 inches for 1 foot. So we're trying to deem whether the 6 inches for the portable ones will work. If that's the case, that means that we can assist more businesses with the portable ramps.
So I would recommend maybe contacting Councillor Rosemary McConkey. She sits on the accessibility.
So right from the beginning, we've been in touch with Rosemary and the committee. We actually have one of their committee members who has offered to come and test, like wheelchair test all of these for us. And recently we sent out the draft MOU to the city and to the region. I sent it back yesterday with the changes that they requested, just to get their final okay, waiting to hear that. And then we can start approaching some of the businesses.
So the challenge, of course, we have being an older downtown is the distance between the storefront and the curb. The length of the ramp, and there's some place where you just can't put a ramp in.
Yeah, well, exactly. And there are some locations that it just wouldn't work. But we do have a list. We had a student do a Google Maps to determine where, get addresses. Then we did a walk around and did a rough measurement so that when we sent the request out
to these other companies, we could say this is the rough measurements, because we're not experts at this, just so that they could give us prices. And so we're waiting to hear back from some of them.
Good. Anything else, Cindy?
Nope, that's it.
Great. Any other questions for Cindy on community development? Excellent. Thanks for the update, Cindy. Events, Andrea.
Yes, so all of our 2020 events was canceled. So our focus now is on a healthy lineup for 2021 events. We're having a meeting on this Monday just to lock down on some new events that we want to introduce, and we kind of only have one signature event for the BIA right now, which is Cars on King. So I'm looking to add a few more main events or featured events for the BIA, one of them being an international music and food festival. And of course, from last year, we had our Nightmare on Bond that's not happening this year on our Bright and Mary. And the other events that we're looking, which is kind of like partnered events, would be the Oshawa Street Fest for the Generals. And then again, at the end of the season, doing something for the Memorial Cup. And I forgot to mention, the featured events for the BIA that we're looking to introduce for next year is something around convocation with the city of Oshawa. So around graduation time. I put together a few ideas. We have our committee meeting this Monday where we'll lock in on discussions, garner more ideas and suggestions. If anybody has feedback, you can send them in. And after that, then we'll look at building out the budget around that so we can have it submitted to the audit committee and hopefully it's approved.
Yeah, thank you.
That's it.
Great. Any questions for Andrea? Hearing none, thanks for the update, Andrea. Finance and audit. Three things. The first one is the status of the 2019 audit. We finally got a response, not from the auditors, but from the city on why the audit has not been finalized for us, as they're still doing their piece. So we still have
Who's still doing whose piece?
The city of Oshawa is still going through their particular audit, which we form part of that. So
So the holdup is
yeah,
not the accountant's firm, and it's not any problems with.
No, yeah, exactly. Sorry, there's no issue. I was more concerned about, look, if you need something from us, we're here. We've been asking. Nobody said anything.
Right.
They finally confirmed, no, there doesn't seem to be anything else needed at this stage. They're just finalizing their piece of it, for which ours folds into. So, so that was from the city CFO, I guess.
Commissioner of Finance.
Oh, Commissioner of Finance.
Yeah,
sure.
it's Stephanie Sinnott.
Yeah, so I'm a little disappointed in that Deloitte. It's Deloitte, right? Deloitte's not. They're silent on it, so they didn't seem to respond to it. So I went through the city, and I don't know if the city's holding it back from Deloitte or whatever's happening there, but we got an answer. Nothing that we need to do. It's still pending, and we'll get it. I've raised the issue that I want a clear audit before we have our AGM. It's kind of silly that we're still talking about 2019's finances at the end of 2020. But they said, be patient, we'll get back to you. So that's the status of that. We have not been billed and have not paid the bill. So we'll have that discussion when the bill comes in about service and what that's all about. July financials is there for you. We're tracking on plan with the revised budget. I don't know if anybody has any questions on the budget. Angela, do you want to talk about anything significant moving around on the line
budget?
Yeah.
Well, the one thing that we've added is community development. There are a number of projects.
Oh, no, sorry, not 2020s.
Oh, sorry.
Not 2021's
So
budget, 2020's. Anything there that you see that's jumping
no,
out?
the only thing was up in the revenue portion, there was a minus, and that was paying back the vendors that had prepaid for some of their spots in the at the events, and so we issued them refunds. Yeah.
So what I see, there's a couple of things that stand out besides the negative item, which we have an explanation in terms of refunds. I mean, we were in a deficient stage for cash for the month, but we have cash in the bank, so it's not, we're not concerned about that. We knew we were going to be spending rather than receiving, since our revenue line is pretty much completed. So if I pivot over to where we stand on a percentage basis for the year, third column out, January to December %, everything's leaning up towards 100. Nothing really significant over, and nothing projected to be majorly over in terms of line items. We might spend a few more on staples and pens and a few less on telephone calls or whatever. Those little pieces I'm not too concerned about. We are projecting a surplus at the end of the year, and that's fine. We have one risk item that we're managing. We haven't closed that item yet, but everything else seems to be tracking as we expected on the revised budget. So we talked about the banking items being corrected in terms of getting all the signatures the right way in terms of getting the account straightened out. So that's good. Thanks, Angela, for picking that up and making sure that we removed old names and put in new names and making that work. That's it for the update on the year-to-date budget. Any questions on that? Okay, hearing none. The third item is the budget for 2021. Thanks to everybody who's put the numbers in, and Andrea, thanks for the update on the events. We're still waiting for that one. We have a draft in front of you that we submitted to you. I don't really want to go over it because we haven't talked about it, but you can see where we're tracking. We're tracking obviously at a pace higher than this year's, and so far less than the previous year's submission. Previous year being the original budget we submitted, but we are tracking for a levy increase than what we have. So I'll leave that with you to take a look at it. Most of you have put in pretty decent budgets and can support it. We're definitely going to have to talk about it with our membership in terms of what are we getting for the money we're asking for, and what does that mean for everybody. And we're definitely going to get feedback. So I just wanted you to make sure you knew where the status update was on that and how we're tracking. And as Andrea's monies come in, so the theme I pushed Angela on this year is to again, this is our second time we're doing a gross budget, both revenue and expenses, which makes it very clear what we're paying for things that we run, and very clear about who's paying for what, as opposed to netting that out, which was a significant change that we made in previous years. And so what I encouraged Angela was really put in the grant money and the revenue money we receive outside of the levies, so that people have a firm idea of, hey, if we get, for example, if we get money from Bright Mary, we got to run that event, otherwise we don't get that money. So, you know, the triggers are, you see where the revenue line is for an event, and then you see where the cost line is. So if you want to attack the cost, you got to strip out the revenue, and that makes the revenue line shorter, which makes the levy line bigger to do those kinds of things. So it's pretty clear that they're tied. There are things tied, but I really appreciate Angela's team for running around to get as many grant sponsorships. The trouble is we never know what we're getting until they actually approve it. So much like most government type programs, you get it at the last minute. Sometimes it comes on time, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm encouraged that we'll get some things, but I'm also worried that it's going to come at the last minute. So other than that, any questions on the draft budget? You've heard about the timeline of what we're trying to achieve. So we get 1 or 2 kicks at this at most, and then we have to put it out in front of the membership. So if you have any adjustments, let Angela know, but work with your committees. I appreciate it. Okay. Outside of that, can I get a motion for all the committee updates? Andrea, seconder, Glenn, all in favor? All right. Jeanette?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes, sorry.
That's okay. Michael?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Do we not need a motion to accept the July financials on its own?
Should we?
I don't know. Michael?
Do we have to motion the July financials separately?
I don't know. Let's go for it. Better to motion than not to, I guess.
I'll raise the motion to accept the July financials. Since I'm doing the treasurer role as well. So if I get a seconder, Glenn, all in favor?
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay,
I'm gonna wait for the city audit to come forward, so at this point, I'm gonna abstain.
great. Thank you. Jeanette,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Great, Carrie. Thank you very much. Thank you. Anything we can help with the information there, Rick, in terms of help you with that?
No, I was originally, when I inquired of the Commissioner of Finance, she indicated the 1st of September.
Okay.
We're not quite there yet.
Yep.
And it may be tracking a couple of days after that, but my understanding is that's when we can expect it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Item number 10. Do we have any reason to go in camera? Glenn? I'm just asking. I don't know.
Michael might.
Oh. Andrea, do you have any reason to go in camera? No? Rick?
Nope.
Michael, do you have any reason to go in camera?
Yeah, I've got one item to discuss in camera. If we're on time for today, we can do it. If we're also set up for the Zoom part of it as well.
So Michael, we will leave the, I will take the recording off. The non-members of the board will leave, and then you guys can discuss, and then someone from the board will come and get us, and we will restart it.
Point of order, Mr. Chair. Seeing as we're all here, is it possible to move the camera forward?
I was going to move a motion to
Put it at the
adjust the
end.
agenda to move the closed item to the end of the agenda in deference to the attendee.
We have a motion. We have a seconder. Glenn? All in favor? Yeah, thank you. Jeanette, the motion on the table that's in front of us that's voted on is to move the in-camera to the end of the meeting.
Okay.
That's a yes.
Yes.
Thanks. Cindy?
Yes. Thanks.
Michael, are you okay with it?
Yep.
Great, thank you. Okay, we'll move it to the end. Thanks for that feedback. New business, 12.
Yes.
Okay.
So I have a proposal for the board to support an economic recovery concept. The idea to bring more business downtown into the BIA. I think it's something that the BIA should get behind because of the nature of it, and because it supports downtown businesses. The casual name it's being given right now is a Troubadour series. And the idea is that there are 5 outdoor patio venues in the downtown that we've approached, who have agreed to participate. There is 0 cost to the participating venues. There are no contracts, there are no electrical charges, there are no insurance riders, there's no financial outlay for the venues, because in essence, what the Troubadour series is a busker series. So we can, with the cooperation of the OPUC, we've located spots outside of the patio area off the property of the venue. So there, the musical performer, musician is socially distanced. And the idea is that we drop a power cord to power up a small sound system, and that these performers would be scheduled in at these venues between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday evenings. And the potential is that we could rotate the performers. If they want to develop a following, the nice thing is that maybe if we put them to a different venue, the followers go with them. But the beauty of this is that it's sponsored. And so the idea being that rather than performing for, say, a tip jar, which some entertainers have done, let's say Stag's Head, what they can now do is they will be guaranteed an honorarium for every performance they successfully complete. I've checked with Angela that such conduction of the financial aspects, sponsorship money coming in to be channeled through BIA. The way that this can be conducted is that the checks can be delivered to each venue on a Friday afternoon. The check will be pre-written for the scheduled performer. At the end of their show that they've successfully completed, they'd be given their check on the spot. They don't wait till the end of the month to get paid. That each venue will supply a tip jar that patrons can contribute to, and the server can deliver that to the performer at the end of the night. That amount will vary, but that amount's also up to the performer. If they do a good job, obviously they're going to get more tips, and that's how it should be. When you go to a music concert, there's no tip jar, but there is for this. So the idea being that with sponsored amounts, we can attract good quality performers. We put the live music vibe back into the downtown. I can tell you right now, I've had a lot of feedback from my wife's golfing ladies who've said, you know, live music, I'm there. And we had Isaac say, you know, you had me at live music and outdoor patio. So something to create a reason for people to come downtown, I think is essential. And on a wide scale, not just one venue, but 5. And so the idea being is, you know, the more people you have downtown, the less vagrancy that you see as well. And I'll give you a classic example. Between the time the Gallery 67 left the Holiday Inn and Wendell Clark's started up, the Holiday Inn was having pretty big issues with vagrancy and drug use and prostitution around its border. It's not a secret, it's very common knowledge. But the success story is that when Wendell Clark's opened up, all that vaporized. It went someplace else. So there is an aspect of the downtown that the more people you have feet on the street, the less you have issues with. I won't get into the weeds here, but this is one of the secondary benefits that I see of this particular program. So what we worked out is sort of a half-season sponsorship. So if we could get the BIA to be considered to be a half-season sponsor, because this is a series of ongoing events, not one. These would be 5 events per evening, 10 per weekend, over 8 weeks, starting this weekend. So I realized that, you know, maybe this weekend might be too soon. So what the mayor has agreed to sponsor one evening, and I'm going to sponsor the other evening, just so the musicians can be guaranteed. And then should the board decide to approve their involvement, we have another sponsor that's come forward in a huge way, and they would cover the entire half of the other sponsorship. So what we can provide for is a $100 honorarium for each musical performer per night, plus a tip jar. And now we're talking. Now that, you know, we're getting our local musicians that are being able to earn some kind of a paycheck again on a quasi-regular basis. And we would like to involve as many local musicians as we can. In fact, all local musicians would be my preference. Original music, covers, different genres, so that people have different reasons for coming downtown. So the idea would be we would run this till the end of the patio season, which is October 31st. If we run short of sponsorships, I'm sure with the success of this that I can be able to convince some others to pony up. If not, I'll pony up. I don't care. I just think this is a terrific way to bring a lot of people downtown with 5 different venues. So my proposal would be that as the first week will be covered by the mayor and myself, this essentially becomes a 7-week sponsorship at a half sponsorship level, which would be $50 per performer. That's $250 a night, $500 a weekend, 7 weekends, $3,500. So what I'm suggesting that the board consider is to be a half-season sponsor for this event. I guess I can tell you right now that BIG, the company that's opening up the RBC and the building here on the corner where Mansfield's Cabaret would be, when I said I'm looking for sponsors, this is the size of the sponsorship and how much would you feel comfortable contributing towards that? She just said, all of it.
But they're half, you mean,
The other half, yeah.
like 3,500.
Yeah. So at this moment, I don't have to go and chase down other sponsors
Right.
if she and the BIA agree to be the co-sponsors on this, which I think would be terrific. Of course, if the BIA doesn't agree to do this, then I'll just get on the phone and chase down some other sponsors. But in terms of what this does and what this means for the downtown and in terms of its actual cost, for a $3,500 investment, this isn't a one night, one thing. It's, what is that? 14 nights, 7 weeks, 8 weeks actually, 8 weeks. So it would be, 16 nights because the BIA would be involved from the start. This would be 8 weeks, 16 events, 5 venues, a lot of vibe. And that's what it says on our shirt. So I would respectfully ask that the board approve this sponsorship on a half-season basis. And we have the other half already covered, and this event can just take off.
So you've got a motion on the table.
I do.
Do we have a seconder? Or before we get to discussion?
I'll second.
Thanks, Glenn. Discussion? Anybody have any comments?
What are the 5, do we have the 5 locations that the performance will be?
Sure. So Wendell Clark's, Stag's Head, Top Corner Grill, Avanti's, and Brew Wizards.
So I remember we were talking about it. Do we cover the landscape? I call it north, south, east, west. I think we've got the geographic dispersity. They don't all show up in one area of the city or anything like that. It's all downtown. It's all spread out.
Yeah.
And we've approached multiple. I mean, we've got 70 restaurateurs, I guess.
But they don't have outdoor patios.
No, I got it.
Yeah.
So we kind of covered this industry space. We've approached people that could qualify for it. We've got geographic dispersity. Sorry, to your point, Andrea, around where are they and does it make sense? I think it does, but so far.
So for instance, I'm working on this with Jeff Davis. And so we went to Wendell Clark's and we talked to the manager, Tristan. And we eventually, moved it outside so we could look at the space. So they have an outside patio, seats about 24, pretty standard for most of the patios. And the performer would be not on the sidewalk, but on the boulevard, if you will, between the sidewalk and the curb, the OPUC post right there, plays it. So as I'm going through this, you could just see the look on his face. And I think Jeff's term was, when's the other shoe gonna drop? Like, where's my cost? There isn't any.
Okay.
And so for him, this was just like, well, of course, we're in all the way. This is very enthusiastic.
Good. Glenn, any questions?
So, I'm not the numbers guy. Do we have money available for that?
Yeah, I think it's not in the budget per se in terms of revised budget, but we have a working surplus at the end. So 35
It's not
being
an
the
issue.
limit. Yeah, 35 being the limit. I think we can live within that, even given our risk that we're still managing. So yes, the short answer is yes. The longer answer is it's not in the plan.
Right.
We're really asking to adjust the plan.
Right.
Yeah. Anybody online? Michael?
Yeah, the question I had was about the money, so that's good that we can make that work without going into deficit.
Jeanette?
I think I'm good with it.
Cindy?
Yeah, I think we need to do something. And I think this is a great way the BIA can support initiatives while we're kind of really limited capacity and whatnot. And yeah, I think it's a good investment.
Okay. We have a question from the audience. I forget what the answer was. Did we get an answer?
Well, it's up to you as the chair whether
Go
you
ahead,
want to
Chris.
entertain
What's
it.
your
I'd like
question?
to ask Councilor Kerr, how does this program differ from what Community Music Matters has already been doing for 12 weeks with the community? Because this morning I received over 40 phone calls from musicians asking if I was included in this initiative that you're posting on the community Facebook page. So if you clarify how it's different from what we've already been doing, I'd like to hear that.
Sure. The concept is that because of the sponsorships, the musicians are guaranteed an honorarium.
We already have sponsorships.
Uh-huh. Well, this model, I believe, is different. We have 5 venues involved. We have the OPUC involved to create a location that can be electrified, not electrified on behalf of the venue. So I see this as, sure, it's involving live music and it's similar, but it's not the same.
Well, I'm not saying maybe it's not the same, but I'd like to put on the record that Community Music Matters, myself, have been financing this project by myself to help support our downtown in a time of need. I've asked for support. That support had not come by anybody else other than Louise Parks. Mr. Davis was the manager of my office space, who is well informed on this program, and I find it somewhat suspicious, I guess to say the least, that you're collaborating with Mr. Davis on programs that I'm already running for our community without support.
Are you saying you want to join, Chris, or no?
I'm not saying I want to
Okay.
join, but I think the point is that people are already doing things for the community,
Fair enough.
that inclusion is important.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
And-
There's
and-
an open
and
invitation
potential-
to get involved if you like. I mean,
The potential pushback from the musicians, that whether they're being paid or not, the culture lends itself well or not well to who's sponsoring.
fair enough.
Well, as I
Thank
did
you.
say, you're welcome to be involved on a volunteer
I've never
basis.
seen, I want to know, because we'll take it offline, but there's a matter of intellectual property at stake here, like there was the last time that I was helping out a few weeks ago.
Fair enough. It's registered that way. Thanks. Any other questions? We're good? Do you want a voter on the table?
Sure.
All in favor?
Quick question.
Oh, sorry.
What about grading? This is outdoor.
Yeah.
What happens in bad weather?
Then
How
the
does that work?
the event would likely be canceled. We can't go indoors because it can't be inside the venue.
We
So-
provided tents.
That can be provided too.
And along with grade
But-
provided us with wireless battery operated amps.
Yeah, as the electricity guy, you don't want to be plugged in the rain. So I got to really say we got to either cancel it or shelter it from the rain. So thanks for that point, Daryl. Thanks for that tidbit, Chris, in terms of being able to do that. That sounds like, maybe we have to make arrangements, but good. Any other questions? Oh, Lisa?
So this is a pilot program,
Yep,
is it?
yep.
Is it a pilot program? And then if it's successful, it could be a model to use for next summer.
Yeah, so the
For
idea,
summer?
I've already spoken to the mayor about this, and what his suggestion was that he would be prepared to apply for provincial arts funding so that we could expand this and run it for the full patio season from when it first opens till the end of October next year. So he sees this as having the capacity to be much expanded and developed, maybe more sites. But the idea being that, it's to have live entertainment downtown is one of the lifebloods of a downtown. So, yeah.
Because as I see it next summer or next year, we still don't know what's going to be
Correct.
operational in terms of events or anything else.
Yep.
We're hoping that, the life will go back to how things were, but it may not. So this might be the future. This sort of
I like your comment. It's a learning and development piece. I think when you call it a pilot or whatever, it's trying to stimulate it. I think it's a good idea, regardless of where the intellectual property
And then we
resides.
can work with
It's making it happen. I think it's a great idea in terms of trying to do that. And to your point, I don't know that the BIA wants to be the linchpin behind this all the time, but if we can facilitate it, I think thinking down the road that it grows its own legs and goes on its own, I think that's a wonderful way to kickstart it, to go, hey, if it takes off and somebody else wants to get behind it as far as the venue or whatever, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, but my husband and I, the last number of Saturdays, evenings, we've spent in downtown Oshawa rather than going out of town. So
Good.
we altered what we can do to help it.
We look forward to seeing you at one of the venues, one of the 5. Great. Thanks, Lisa. Chris?
Yeah, just part of the economics of the music industry in downtown. The best one to relate it to is the Oshawa Generals. The Oshawa Generals run 32 to 34 home games. They have an average of 22 to 2,500 people. The music hall alone, when it's full operational, we have an average of 500 people and 200 shows. So the economics of the people in the demographic that come to downtown far exceeds what the Oshawa Generals have the ability to do. The demographics are different, and live music drives revenue.
Great.
I ran it outside of the top corner for 6 straight weeks.
Good.
The patio was absolutely beautiful.
Thanks, Chris. That's great. Sounds like it's going to be a terrific event. Ready to vote on it? All in favor? Jeanette?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Great. Carried. Thank you very much. Thanks, Rick. Any other new business? Hearing none, city report. Rick?
Yeah, so I'll keep these short and concise. One of the aspects that was mentioned earlier was, about the situation with downtown vagrancy and criminal activities and so forth. I think we're all aware of the hiring of the security firm to address that. But my concern is the downtown councillor, Ward 4, if you will, with Derek Iverson, is sanitariness and health. And in that regard, I pushed forward and finally we got agreement to put some portable washrooms downtown. Not to get into the weeds in this, but there are some pretty grotty things happening. And as I said, if we have 300 people who are living rough, they're going to have to relieve themselves at least once a day. And it has to go somewhere, and it can't be where it had been going up to that point. So the short story is we have four locations, basically. The bus terminal, where the washrooms used to be open, but when COVID closed, they were closed, so that was an issue. So we have portable washrooms there. We have portable washrooms at 24 Simcoe Street North, and we have portable washrooms at the Mary Street Garage. And plus, we've opened up the extra washrooms and showers as part of the Mission United Hub, the Backdoor Mission. And that's a social services hub, which was, if you want to talk about the GAP committee, that was one of the first thing actually they pressed for, was to have a full service social services hub. So that's one good piece for the downtown. On a more economic basis, the sidewalk widening project is on track and it's due to be completed in September. I think that's going to be a welcome addition to the downtown. It's resulted in loss of some parking spots, but I have a motion coming forward to committee in September about innovative way to add spots back. The really big news, though, is the opening of and potential opening of 3 what I call ACE Hub, art, culture, and entertainment enterprises in the downtown. And I can say this now. The owners said I can do this, but the old music hall building, which used to be called the music hall, back in 1940 when it was built, it was called the Biltmore. Classy cinema, beautiful building. The owner who has bought this building is going to transform this building back to that state. It's beautiful, natural sort of beige marble or beige granite stone on the facing. And he's going to take that right down to street level. He's going to refurbish the clock tower and the thermometer on it. It's going to look like it was in 1940. Going to rebuild the sign that says the Biltmore. And it's going to be live streaming concerts. So you talk about COVID, that's not an issue. So the whole live streaming thing is where money is in the entertainment, the music industry right now, because large concerts are out. So that's really exciting, and he's hoping to open by the end of September this year. So that's absolutely huge. Engineering drawings are done. The city's supporting in terms of a facade grant. He wants to get a heritage designation for the building, which I think is great. So if you think of that building, the Alger building and the Disney building and the Regent across the street, even the owner of the building beside the Regent has talked about jazzing up the facade in that building as well. So in terms of an anchor with the Janosh 70 King, for an anchor for the downtown in terms of look and vibe, it's fabulous. So that's coming forward. Big, the company I mentioned as a sponsor for the Troubadour series, has been revitalizing the building on the southeast corner of King and Simcoe. The good news is the entire main floor is going to be the new home of Mansfield's Cabaret. They were in 50 bond. It was too small for them, but they were working away at it. They did Mamma Mia, the We Will Rock You at the Regent. So this is going to be their new home. So there's a huge vibe having people lined up to go in, and there's 13,000 cars a day going through the downtown. And anyway, that's a great vibe.
Are you talking about the old bank?
No, the
one here.
Southeast corner. Yeah.
The bank's going to be a farmer's
market and various other markets. That's going to be called the Rook. That's big as well.
Yeah.
So Alexis Kaufman's doing a great job in terms of bringing new stuff to downtown. And there's a new health venture going into the BMO building right here across the street. So that's really good news. The other good piece is 44 Bond. That's going to be the new home of, if I can call it, the old music hall. I think when this building is done, it's going to be a serious anchor for the entertainment industry downtown. 1,000-person concert hall. The old dungeon can be revitalized, and a restaurant. So you've probably read the details. I know Christopher's involved in that and helping to promote that, which is great. So that one, of course, might have a bit of a delayed opening, because how can you put 1,000 people in a concert hall right now if we're still only in stage 3? But, with some careful planning and some business model adjustments, and, perhaps that can come along a little sooner. Hopefully it does. So the whole idea of the downtown now as an ACE hub is really starting to take shape, and where people can be drawn from all over the place, as well as downtown residents to have a great lifestyle downtown. So it's a little maybe longer than what I thought, but those are some pretty darn exciting developments coming up there.
Great, thank you for that. It sounds really promising for a change, notwithstanding talking about COVID.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Totally off on a different tangent, but I know when I had started on the board, I've been asking about can we have an Oshawa City Square? Any talks about that happening somewhere down the road?
There is something coming forward, but I can't give you details at this point, because it's one of those purple pages confidential things.
Okay.
But it's sort of might be generally known, but I can't give specifics. But there is work and effort being done to develop that kind of. We already have Civic Square, we already have Memorial Park, but we need some other locations as well.
Something to add to the whole
Yep.
ACE concept.
Yep.
So yeah, like every other city has like a city square where events and different things can happen. We just don't have that to drive the kind of economic development that we would like to see.
Well, as things grow and develop, and as the feet on the street increase, the opportunities to develop those kinds of things will also come along. So it's kind of a,
It's a
Yeah.
catch-22, because we do need those
You do need
infrastructure
them.
to build feet on the street. I mean, nobody wants
Yeah.
to come to something that's dead. So we have to invest first
Yeah.
in order to garner investment. Nobody wants to invest. If
and what
you're
I
not investing in yourself, you don't expect others to invest in you.
correct, and what I'm telling you is that's being done.
Okay, just checking.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good question. Any other questions?
Just to give a comment on the great idea for the bathrooms. A business partner of mine sits on the board for the CSA for the COVID recovery process. I would suggest in the bathrooms copper coatings for the handles, toilet bowls, whatever else, and blue lights. Blue lights eliminate the opportunity for an addict to find a vein inside of a washing facility. You might go check out the Oshawa Cafe down there. They have blue lights and have done a lot of great work in trying to diminish that type of activity.
Thanks for the input.
Great idea.
Any questions of Rick online? Can I get a motion to accept the update from the city? Glenn, seconder, Andrea, thank you. All in favor? Jeanette,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Thank you, carried. We don't have a post-secondary update. Peter's not online, so we'll defer that to the next meeting. And correspondence. You have two pieces of correspondence in your package. The first is an RFP that we sent out for bookkeeping functions. You want to give a quick update on that, Angela, in terms of why and what we've got so far?
So generally, we put out the RFP every 2 years for bookkeeping. It's time to do that again. So we've just put updated the RFP, sent it out to you guys for any comments, suggestions, anything that you would like to have changed. We would like to get this out beginning to mid-September, so that we can put the process out there, and once we've decided who we're going to do, they would start beginning of the year, January 1st.
Do we have any take-ups or questions or anything like that in terms of what's out there or no?
We haven't put anything out yet.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought
Yeah.
we did put it out.
No, we haven't put it out yet.
Okay.
It's just been sent to the board to get feedback before we do that.
Okay, so feedback to you by,
I'd say by the 7th of September.
Okay.
And that way that gives us, a week to change anything that we need to, and then send it out by the 15th.
great. The other piece of correspondence was something we had in front of the region for funding during COVID. We finally got the response. Angela, do you want to cover that?
So we asked collectively with all of the BIAs to see if the region would give money to each of the BIAs during COVID. And that was declined by the region. However, the region has also done a number of other initiatives that are very specific to the BIAs. So they started the Downtowns of Durham website, which is, I think they're now creating it more of a shopping site, but it also gives information on all of the businesses. And I know the last I heard from our last meeting, they were just starting to call the Oshawa businesses to get updates, because we initially gave them information during COVID that they had populated the site with, and so they were going to make all the calls to update, because I know when we were doing our calls before, some of the businesses weekly, their hours would change. And so that's
Okay.
yeah.
Great. Any questions on those two pieces of correspondence from you? We're good. Can I get a motion to accept the correspondence as information for the stage? Rick, seconder, Glenn, all in favor? Jeanette?
Yes.
Yeah, Cindy?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Great, carried. Okay, we're back to agenda item number 10, going in camera. Yep. Michael, do you still want to go in camera?
Can I say something?
Sure, go ahead.
A quick comment. I just wondered if, Angela, if you had contacted the owner of 71 Albert about the mural for the educational, because there's 2 drive sheds on the back that are onto the accessible parking lot, which would be on site.
That's actually the individual I was speaking about.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's not Howard.
Oh, hold it. No, it is Howie that I was talking
No,
about.
so
Yeah.
71 has 2 drive sheds there, but they call it drive shed, but really they're not in bad shape. And they back onto the parking lot of the accessible parking at the tribute center.
Oh, okay.
And that would be an ideal backdrop for
As
a
well.
mural with the educational slant. And you're on site, and that parking lot has just been completely redeveloped after, like, the center's over 10 years old now, so they redid that last year. And it's all been resodded, and I've actually taken photos of graduates that have said to me, can you take my photo next to this tree bush or whatever there? So I think that if she's cooperative with that, I don't know.
Okay, I can
But
approach them. Yeah.
It would be really interesting to do that. That's number 1. Number 2, I just want to know, when you talk about all this budgeting and everything, are there plans to have another executive director hired?
Yes. Yes, it's in the budget.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, it's in the administrative section of the budget.
So
Crap.
historically, the first executive director was Garth Johns. Is that true? And then the second one was,
I
or
don't,
did you have others
So
before?
there
I've
was.
only been involved since
There have been
2016.
others in the past.
Yeah.
Before.
Okay, I wasn't involved then.
It's only a single position in one student fire. One person ran the BIA restaurant.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was the paid position.
it is a paid position,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
No, I mean, years ago.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
great. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank
Anything else?
Nope.
Good, thank you. Michael, do you still want to go in camera?
Yeah, I think would be good. It won't take very long. It's a very short thing, so that's
So you motion to go in camera?
motion that the Board of Management for the ODBIA enter into in camera pursuant to 239 subsection 2 of the Municipal Act. This meeting be closed to the public for reasons of personal matters about an identifiable individual, including local board employee.
Seconder? Rick? All in favor? Jeanette?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go in camera. Thank you very much. Thanks for attending, folks.